Well, welcome back. This is a historic day for us. At least it feels that way.
It definitely is.
We are starting to put in the bulkhead. So our shaft is in, our fuel lines are in, our drain pipe from the lazarette's in. We've got a couple of short pieces here that we can get in afterwards. But basically all the long pieces had to come in from the back hold through the gap here, just like the shaft did. It's just making a big old jungle gym in here again. We got panels scattered all over the place. Just double checking the inventory on these. Good thing too, because apparently we used one of these somewhere along the line and we were short a piece. So the boys are laminating up another panel today. And I am getting this first piece in here. It's notched into the stringer. It's a reinforcement layer, laminated on both sides, super duper strong. That's gonna go right in here. Then we'll have another layer on top of that, and then another layer on top of that. We'll have 2 layers underneath this bulkhead, and actually 3 layers underneath the half of the second layer of this bulkhead on the back side that you can't see. So it's going to make a very rigid structure for any changes to the deck that we do up there. That'll all bear right down on these stringers like it should. So very happy, very excited to start getting this in. Yeah, I got it all wetted out. Some resin on the raw edges of this foam. Got a big old batch of putty here. Put down a chunk of cardboard to try and keep my mess to a minimum because I tend to be a little bit messy sometimes. And yeah, we're ready to roll here. I'm gonna pop my mask on so I don't get OD'd on these fumes. And we'll start stuffing some putty in these holes. All right, that looks pretty good. This fit up's a little sloppy on this, so we'll just put lots of putty in there, and everything that squeezes out we'll scrape off and use for fillets. So this first piece is ready. I usually like to cover all the surfaces that putty's going on. It just tends to bond better. You just push this up against the other stuff. You can kind of see that it just pulls right off. There is resin on there, so it's going to help it, but it always just helps to just put a thin layer of putty in there, work it into those holes, the pores of the foam. That's how we like to do it anyways. All right, and here we go, Matt. You're going to miss it, buddy. Huh? Alrighty. Beautiful. Now this stuff on the top is just going to get smeared out. We got our next piece is going to go right here. It'll go underneath the bulkhead. It'll tie in back here on this angle, and then we'll put another chunk on top of that. So Matt's just laminating that for me right now to make it easy. We'll have a layer right here, and then the top layer will be laminated because it's going to be, there won't be any clearance here really. So we'll slide that underneath there, and then we'll still have a bit of a gap, and we'll just putty that up real good. Force putty in there, and boom. That's going to be nice and strong. We should have this bulkhead in by this afternoon, and start working out the rest of Just a little bit of fill right there. Same thing on the back side. A little chunk of ceiling that needs to go in, and start getting that all tied in together. Meanwhile, Matt and Tristan got all this combing knocked out, just reinforced the old one. That's the old combing that we recycled. So it was just a layer of roving and a layer of matte, I think. It had some spots that was thin and actually cracked through, so they did another good lamination on top of that. That's going to tie it all together with the deck and down here. All right, just getting some more putty laid in here. I laminated a piece of 45 and a piece of matte onto the top of this piece right here. It doesn't go all the way out to the edge because when we tie in the next piece going this way, we'll put some material there. We want a good bond between these layers, so that's why we're not wetting that out right now. So this is gonna bond between the layer that we just put down right here and this piece that you see over here. Matt laminated the top of it because it needs to get underneath this wall right now, and it'd be pretty hard to do that without it already on there. As it is, we got to try and slide it in there. We're probably going to have a big, huge disaster on our hands, but we'll find out here in a minute. I'm just applying a little putty in these corners right here, where that's also going to butt up to it, and also the back side right here, where we have an angle on it. So our goal here is to just try and incorporate these layers, you know, with butt joints and overlaps and angles, and it's going to make an incredibly strong structure right here, because this is what's going to take a lot of this force and transmit it down here and into the hull and also onto these stringers. So we want it to be nice and strong. That way whatever we do later on up on the deck, it has a good foundation to be on. So that looks good. I'm just going to wet out the bottom of that, and then we'll see if we can slide this thing in here. Top ready to go. This edge right here, it'll all get laminated when we tab this stuff all together. So it's fine being raw. We'll have to trim this edge a little. Should be good though. Can you hold my cup for me? Oh boy, there it goes. I think it's just my layer of matte, so that's kind of good news, I guess. Yeah, well,
Did it go? How much is scrape off?
I'm plowing my piece underneath pretty bad. Oh well, it's okay.
Well, if you just take it out and just Sunny in the middle.
Well, it's got a little mess after all. Just tore off the layer of mat that was on top of this. We'll just come back in and put a piece down on top, but it's hanging up underneath there. Win some, lose some.
All right, well, that got a little hairy for a minute. As you can see, a little too thick to slide underneath that existing bulkhead, but we got it in there. Threw a couple clamps on it. Yeah, a little bit of a scramble for a moment. So I ended up, there's a couple layers of mat on this top side. I had to peel it off real quick. And same thing with the stuff underneath. It just pretty much pushed out that layer of mat. The layer of 45 is still in there. That will be sufficient. I guess I could have pulled it apart and just let this kick and trimmed it up and put it in, but it wasn't worth it. It's good. Got a couple of clamps on there. Pulled these two layers together good. It'll be fine. Could see some resin squeezing out the crack right here, so I know I should have pretty good contact in there. And yeah, I just didn't want to disturb this piece underneath, trying to get this all back out. So that's that. We just threw down a quick piece of plastic here and a chunk of laminate over it to kind of clamp it. It's a little bit weird, it's an angle on both of those, and so the clamps are just kind of right there on the edge, but good enough. Yeah, she'll be fine. That'll kick off here pretty quick with those extra layers in there, and we'll go in, we'll get it cleaned up on the underside and get ready to drop these bulkhead pieces in. That's going to be awesome. Meanwhile, the boys are laminating our last panel up here. I think we said that a long time ago, but times changed. Came up short on basically just one 40 by 27-ish inch piece. So easier just to do a full panel than just a small one. We need a couple of extra chunks anyways to do some reinforcing on the rails over here on each side where our stay lines come down. So we'll have the extra material for that. We had a couple of pieces set aside for that, but it'll be nice just to have a larger chunk and not have to worry about trying to piece that in. Not like making a nice panel just to go punching a bunch of holes through it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's the way it goes. Sometimes you just have to do what you gotta do. So we're just drilling holes through here, so when we position this and laminate it to the other side that's already in place, we can pull it up good and tight, get a good bond between the layers.
Yeah, we're gonna have a layer of 45 and mat that kind of just bonds them together, and without anything to suck it together, be it clamps or screws, it kind of just floats there. There can be a lot of air gaps potentially, and it'd be impossible to tell.
Yeah, so this will get us
layers
nice and tight, and we'll use a little backing plate on each side. We just got some scrap fiberglass pieces here. Otherwise, you'll pretty much suck that screw right through the laminate, or at least enlarge it and crack it all out. And other side, we have a block of plywood, so that works real good to spread it out a little bit. Got about 7 holes on each side here, so 14 or so. That'll get us pretty good, I think. So I'll just finish drilling out a couple of these, and I think we're pretty well fit up here. We're actually going to apply the laminate to the existing wall that's in place. That's where the foam, the exposed foam is. We want to put it on that, as opposed to this one that actually has a laminate on both sides already. And that way we get it adhered good to the foam. We make sure that it's saturated and bonded well to that, and then we'll wet out the other side of this, the laminate on it, and put it together, and we should be good to go.
Yeah.
I guess throw a big gob of putty in on the corners here. We'll wet out all these edges down here and right here. We have our fuel lines just roughed in place. Our clamps showed up today, so that made it a little bit nicer to get them clamped together, the two sets, and then we know where to position our holes accurately. It helped just putting them together like that and getting them out of our way. It kind of became a bit of a jungle gym down here.
It did.
Even
when you just put those PVC pipes in there, it's like, all right, tripping on stuff again.
Yeah. Yep. It seemed like so much space down there, and then you put the shaft in it. Okay, yeah. Work around the shaft, and then all these pipes in here, it seems like you're just kind of like leg holds everywhere, getting caught, and much better now, just having those off to the side a little bit. So these will be mounted against the sides, and then our drain pipes too, but we'll kind of do that here after we get this bulkhead in place. We want to get this in place so we can start getting it all tabbed out and work done.
Okay. Take this marker and scribe that panel. Just put it up against those. Yep, they're all the way down, and the other side as well. Yeah, we got our other chunk of laminated foam done this morning. Potentially the last one. This will become our last brace for the bulkhead. Still gotta cut the angles on it. And this chunk is for this last gap in the forward hold right there. So we've been very efficient on our foam usage. Pretty proud of that. Our scrap pile is still very small. It's pretty much comprised of that little pile right there, which is pretty impressive, actually. You want to make the best use of that foam. It's kind of costly. So we're about to install this last chunk of bulkhead for the aft hold. Got these two chunks of raw foam laminated with a mat and 45, and the edges where the insert here will meet. So we'll go ahead and slap it in.
There's a piece behind Matt that's going into that hole. So it'll get one more layer right in the middle where it's dull looking. The two spots that are wetted out is where it meets the existing bulkhead that's already in place. This is laminated on both sides. And yeah, we're finally there.
It's true.
Yeah, so now will be the fun part. We got all the edges are all wet out on this, so it's going to be pretty slippery. It's actually a fairly heavy piece.
Yeah.
Laminated on both sides, so it'll be fun wrestling it into place.
That might be the trick right there, just kind of walking it into place to get it close. It is heavy.
Thumbs up this video.
Alrighty, I guess there's not much I can do for you here.
Yeah, you'll just get your fingers pinched, right?
Yeah.
I'll just get my fingers dirty in that case. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
We're ready.
Camera in position.
Yep.
Yep.
Nice. There it is. Where do we want to start here?
Just pressing on it a little bit to start. This upper corner is kind of stuck out a bit.
This port side?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was before. I think it's just, there's probably a little curve in the other laminate or something, but
Okay.
I think if we like start up there maybe and work our way down,
Okay.
like let's get one up in this, maybe this top one.
All right. Sounds good.
And then I think up there we can just screw a block into the wood and wedge it, push it in some more. Nice.
Just kind of work our way out a little bit. Still needs to come in, but just like steady on.
I think it's good just to like start one direction and work down,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So maybe the next one in.
Stagger back and forth.
Huh?
Staggering back and forth.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right, everyone. Well, it's in, and it's staying where it is. So, went pretty good. Yep, should be good and strong, I reckon.
Yeah, she ain't going nowhere.
Yep, so just a little bit of cleanup, and we'll lay some more putty in for a fillet tomorrow, fill these remaining cracks, and start tabbing in those last two stringers. So yeah, I guess that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll focus on those stringers and yeah, do all that bit. So, all right, everyone, that aft bulkhead chunk kicked off, good and solid. Putting on our next one here, already got the 45 and the mat down on it, and got this chunk painted here. Little layer of putty right here. I'm gonna prop this in and then putty the sides of this board instead.
I'm probably going to use up all your putty. You better start making him putty, Tristan. If you would, please.
All right, that'll hold. So, Tristan will go make me some more putty, slather these sides, jam it in there. That should be good.
Wow, that looks nice.
Vault to conceal.
There it is. Indeed.
Which one first?
Port. Nice. Just working our way down, yeah?
Uh-huh.
Back and forth, I mean. Feels pretty good.
Good?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Last piece. All right. Well, we'll clean up this putty, jam in any cracks here. I have a bunch of extra putties, so I'll go through and fill these holes. And yeah, start buttoning this up. All right, everyone. As you can see, the bulkhead is pretty much wrapped up now. It's been a couple of days since we put it in. Got all the seams tapped out, covered, and filled all the holes and stuff. It's pretty much ready to go. I just need gel coat. Down here, Dad got this base plate in before we stuck this piece in, actually. And yesterday he glued in this cross member here, as well as these 2 chunks of 45 on the very edge. So right now we're just about to glue our first piece of shaft alley cover in, which is very exciting. It's been a long time coming. So it's all wetted out already. You can see that little outline, that's the inside of that square. So no real need to wet out the entire surface. I put a bunch of structural putty there where this will seat. So we'll go ahead and get it in. I'm gonna put my mask on, it's stinky. Ready, Dad?
Oh, go for it.
Gonna come watch?
Yeah.
All right. First of many. Once you start going down, there's no stopping.
Looks good.
Looks nice.
Look at that. Well, by the end of the day, we should have the second layer on this area far enough back to get the bulkhead tied in, huh?
Yeah.
Fill those last couple of little spots with foam. Put some laminate over the top of it. And prep the gel coat.
I was expecting a little more squeeze out, but I'm glad I didn't skimp on the putty.
That looks really good right there, so
Very happy.
there'll be a layer of laminate on this, and then another piece of foam goes laminate side down against this, and then the top of it will get completely covered. And the reason that we're spending so much time on this and making it thick and reinforcing it well is just on that square right there that was open, there'll be somewhere about 800 pounds of weight on that. So we want to make sure that it's strong. It's just a little over, I think it was about 2.3 square foot and close to 800 pounds on that. So we gotta make it strong. That's the weight of the water. So 5 feet deep, that's about 2.5 pounds of weight per square inch. So there it is. And I think that opening right there ended up being 19 by 16 and a half. So the actual opening itself. Looking forward to getting this knocked out.
can finally close in these last little gaps back here, hide that foam, and get all buttoned up. So, I'll clean up my edges on this. I suppose there's probably some squeeze out on the bottom side. That's, well, I can show you. It's a pretty tight fit. You can maybe see. I'm just gonna reach my arm in there and flatten out that putty that's squeezed out, and yeah, looks good.
What you got there, putty master?
Big yummy glass of yumminess. I don't know.
200 grams.
Final layer going down on that portion. Layer of mat to bond to the existing laminate on there. Layer of 45. And the next panel, laminate side down. So we'll end up with a nice thick, a good bond there. So he's just put that down on foam right there, bare foam. So yeah, final top layer of laminate going down. He has the panel just propped up over there against the other side. And once it's down, then we can start to wrap it into the sunk and tie it into the bulkhead, and that's going to be a wrap on that portion. And next we'll go all the way forward against the bulkhead and move back to the center inspection hatch.
Yeah.
Boy, that looks really good. So you can see a little bit of laminate that is extending on but past the piece that he just put in. That'll just get lightly sanded, and then the next piece will come up to that, and that'll help tie in those layers and prevent, I guess maybe a cold joint. I don't even know what you'd really call it, but just reinforces the layers better that way.
Yeah. That's clear enough.
And then the top layer will just be treated like all our other panels. It'll get a layer of matte, a layer of 2408, a layer of, I don't even know if I got it right here anymore. I
Yeah,
forget.
so it'll be a typical layup that we've been doing for all these panels. That's layer matte, layer 90, layer 45, layer 90, and 2 layers of matte. And I don't know if we'll go any more than that, like just for the need of overbuilding, but I think it should be plenty.
The biggest threat to this right here is puncture, and so it's going to be incredibly stiff and incredibly strong as far as bearing weight, but you still want to ensure that it's puncture resistant. Guys get down here with shovels and they get a little bit wild, but that's nearly a 1/4 inch build with that layup right there. That's a lot of glass to go through. So you definitely wouldn't penetrate it with the pick.
I think it's pretty robust, so I think it'd be pretty tough.
Yeah, you'd have to spend some time at it, I believe.
Yep.
So yeah, next up is to cover this first section right here, probably a couple of feet over, just past the to where the sump starts, and then we'll be able to get that last little shot of foam put in those holes right there and get that all finished out, get it tabbed into the bulkhead, and that area is done. Then we can gel coat it out, and That'll give Matt something to work on while I tend to other aspects up forward. I got a few penetrations I need to clean up, and we'll just start doing the same thing. We'll start working our panels back towards the center.
Yeah.
Well, we are starting on our first inspection hatch. A lot of people are asking how we'd be able to service our bearings or check on them, inspect them, tighten up the stuffing box, things of that nature. You have to be able to get in there and get in and be able to access those components. So we're just starting on the first one. I kind of went back and forth about how exactly I wanted to do with this. On the fishtail, we just have, basically it's like a 2-layer hatch like this. It's staggered, more or less like that. And there's a seal right here. It just drops into a corresponding cover and a single bolt with a cross piece to tighten it up. It's worked great. It's actually been in there for, oh gosh, I want to say 15 years now.
Yeah, a long time.
Been flawless. We've never had a single leak. We can tank down, never had a problem with it. So pretty tried and true design for us. We're going to follow that same concept with just a couple of changes here. This is the first layer that sits on top of the shaft alley stringers, and then it'll be followed by a second layer that's slightly larger. It's actually the diameter of this area that's wetted out here. I wanted to put a knife edge on it, and the knife edge is where the inside of the hatch comes up, and then the outside of the hatch comes down like that. With the gasket material in there, it creates a very, very good watertight bond. So I kind of had to figure out how to do that efficiently. Some different thoughts were to make a basic mold and incorporate my knife edge into that, break it out, and then glue it onto the panel. I didn't really like that idea. It's a lot of work to make a form like that. So I ended up, I just kind of made a little prototype here, and you can see what I'm talking about. Essentially, this is what this will look like when it's done. This surface will be flat right here, and it'll come up a little bit, and then your hatch comes over the top of it like that. So it's a very nice seal. The seal is actually just this rim right here on gasket material instead of a larger flat face, and it provides a very nice watertight seal. So that was my concept there. Like I said, I kind of went back and forth a little bit on exactly how to do it, and this is what I came up with. We're just wetting out a layer of chop strand mat right here, and that's already down, and followed up by a layer of 1708 045 or 4545, excuse me. And I think I'll have to come up with one more layer. I want to bring it right up to the level of this green stuff here, the foam. And after that's in, I'm going to take some blocks like this, which is going to set the heights for my knife edge. And I'm going to take this form, which is actually the plug that came out of here, and I'm going to drop it right in place there, and then I'm going to build up onto it. And that's going to create the knife edge. There will be a bit of a gap in here where the two meet, but after this comes back out, this is also going to get glassed into the reinforced cutout that's already in the fish hold that's glued in place. And so we'll bridge that gap with more material, and we'll build up the knife edge in the process, and we'll also tie those two layers together. So I think we got a really solid plan here. It's going super smooth. It's probably taken me 15 minutes to put in this layer of chop strand mat and this layer of 4545, and it's looking real good. This stuff is super easy to work with. It's a little bit stretchy. You can kind of bend it, so it's just easy to just kind of basically lay in the top like that, and then just come in and pat it down. And the same holds true for the chop strand mat. That was a continuous strip all the way around with no relief cuts. You just kind of work it in there slowly, and it will stretch and conform. And now we'll just finish wetting this out, and then we'll drop in our other piece. So as we go along a little bit further, we'll show exactly how we're gonna mount the hatch into this and lock it down, but that's kind of the general concept right there. It's very tried and true. That's basically how all watertight hatches work, more or less. So let's continue.
Yeah, pretty bulletproof. So meanwhile, work goes on in the main hold here. The bulkhead is fully tied in now. Today we foamed in these last little sumps right there and there, and put the skin over them and fiberglassed over them with 2 layers of 45 and a layer of CSM, and flattened it out, tied in the sumps, and then tied the bulkhead into the floor here. So as you can see, it's very clean looking. We just got finished wiping it down with acetone after ferring it out. Didn't really ferret it out, but after taking off the sharp spots with the grinder. So we're just getting ready to gel coat, and things are going to be changing how they look real quick. So exciting times. Got Tristan over here helping out. He's the support man, cutting bits and pieces for Dad and mixing resin and mixing me gel coats. So
That's me.
yep, big help. So yeah, we'll set you guys up down below and we'll get rolling.
Thank everybody for joining us. Big shout out to our Patreons, everybody that's subscribed, watches the videos. if you have time, questions, comments, drop them in the comment section. We'll get back to you as quick as we can.
Yeah, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, check us out on Instagram and Facebook at EIS Alaska, and we'll see you again soon.